the motor so that the motor, the weapon motor, when it spins is mounted to something, right? Like it's on something, secured to something. Now, to make it as strong as possible, so you could dish out the hardest hits and survive, and take the hardest hits and survive, is that we also want to support it on the opposite side. The little shaft that sticks out, this thing right here, should be held. All right. So what we are doing is we're going to take little bearings, and a bearing looks like a little silver thing that the shaft is going to stick in, and it spins and allows the weapon shaft to spin while staying in place. All right, and then we're going to put a bearing cover on to stop that bearing from popping out. Okay, and then we also have to make a little slit for the weapon motor shaft to slide out when we want to maybe change out the motor and of course to install it. All right, so we slide the weapon shaft through this slot, pop the bearing on it, and then cover it with the bearing cover. So that's what we are doing right now. All right, so I'm gonna go back to my design right here. That is not done. All right, but this is one of the most last steps. So we are very, very, very close to being done in printing and fighting. All right, so what we got to do is first we got to make a hole for the shaft. We're gonna make a 5mm hole for the shaft to go through in this post. So what is the easiest way to do that? So the easiest way to do that is to get rid of the body. So I'm gonna click on the arrow next to bodies, uncheck the chassis, so I just see this weapon motor. And I want to click on this face right here to make a sketch. So I'm gonna hit create sketch, and I'm gonna click on this face right here. I'm gonna drag it down so I can see. And I'm gonna make a 5mm circle. I'm gonna do in the middle. You notice the middle because it kind of turns into a circle. I'm gonna type in 5, hit enter. Now it's a little tricky to highlight everything because everything's in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my weapon motor with the eyeball. All right, so I have this. So here's my 5mm circle. I want to click on this. You'll notice it didn't click on the inside, but I want that too. So I'm going to hold down Control and click on the center there. All right, and now, what did I just do? My bad. I clicked something extra. All right, now I'm going to hit E for extrude. Okay, now before I even drag it, I got to bring back the chassis, and I'm gonna drag it through here, and now I have a 5mm hole through my weapon post. And I always want to double check what objects I'm cutting, and I'm just cutting the chassis, so that's good. I'm gonna hit OK. All right, cool. I want to make sure that it's 5mm. I'm gonna just click on this line, and down here you'll see that it says 5mm. All right, awesome. So now I got to make a pocket for the bearing here. So I'm going to click create sketch. I'm going to click on this outer face. All right, I'm going to make a point. So go to create point. I'm going to click in the center of this circle. And before I hit finish sketch, I'm going to hit H for hole. I'm going to click on that point that I just made. And I want to make, oh, and it's funny, it's already at the sizes I need it. But if your drill point is at angle, change it to flat. Okay, so you only have 2 dimensions, how deep the hole is and how wide the hole is. We want the hole to be 10mm wide. We want it to go 6, we want the pocket to be 6mm deep. All right, don't have these numbers flipped. All right, that won't look right. And then make sure the objects to cut is just chassis. So again, 6mm deep, 10mm wide. Make sure it's on drill point, and you hit OK, and you have this little pocket for the bearing. Okie dokie. So now I am going to install the weapon. Install the bearing motor cover. So I'm going to go to data panel, and I'm going to look for the bearing cover, and it's B, so it's going to be up top. And I want you to select the one that has a little thing hanging off of it. So I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to do insert into current design. You see that it's kind of off, right? Like it's not matched up. Yours might be like this, right? But anyway, make sure it's standing up and rotate it 90 degrees. All right, so anyway, I'll pull it up here. And you want this little flange here, this little thing sticking off, to be facing toward the weapon. All right. So since mine is on this side, okay, and it should be it should be pointed back as well. It should be pointed toward the back of the bot. So again, this little flange here should be facing toward the weapon, depending on what post you're doing, and it should be sticking out toward the back. So I'm gonna put it on point to point. And I want to match up this face with the outside of this post, right? So first I gotta select this face. So I'm gonna do point to points. You know, I'm gonna hover over a blank area on this face, hold down Control, click on that center crosshair, and it's asking the target where I wanna put it. I wanna put it right in the center of this face right here. So I'm gonna hold down Control. I'm hovering over this outside face. I'm gonna hold down Control and click on this crosshair. Good, and I'm gonna hit OK. All right, so it's there. That's awesome. Now, what we got to do is we got to make a little slot for this thing to kind of go into. So first of all, I got to make my weapon disappear. And where is it? I don't know. So I'm going to just click on it once, and you'll see that it kind of underlined. So I'm going to uncheck the eyeball next to it, and it disappears. All right. So the easiest way to do this is to make a sketch on this face. So I'm on this inside face here. So I'm going to click Create Sketch, and I'm going to click on the inside of that face, but it kind of moved, so now I can't really see it. So I'm just going to adjust my vision a little bit. All right, I'm going to make it kind of like as straight as possible. All right, so now essentially I'm going to make two lines. I'll make a line coming out here and a line coming out here all the way to the end. All right, so I'm going to click on line. And I want my line to be taller than this bar right here. So I'm not going to do here because it's lower. So I'm going to do a little bit higher and have to lock onto the edge of my circle. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to go straight back. Make sure the degrees is either 90 or 0. Mine is at 0. The length is depending on how large your weapon post is. And I'm going to click. Now, I'm going to go down. Let's see. Let me change this view a little bit. Let's see. The slot for weapon motor shaft to slide through 3.374. All right. So I'm going to make a line that goes down from here, 3.374. Okay. Hit enter. Okay, now I need one more line. So I'm gonna hit either line again or L. I'm just gonna hit L on my keyboard. I'm gonna continue from that line, the dot that I just made there, and I'm gonna go straight across. Make sure your degrees is like 90, 180, 0, whatever. You'll see my degrees is 180. That's fine. I'm gonna go straight to this circle right here. Okay, cool. Now, all right, you want to make it as even as possible. All right. Well, I'm going to hit Finish Sketch. Okay, and I'm gonna the sketch is still visible. So look what I could do. I could actually, if I kind of highlight one of the blue lines, not this whole thing, but one of the blue lines, it kind of drags itself up and down. And you want it to be as even as possible. You want as much space on the top as you do on the bottom here, and that looks even to me. So now I'm going to click on this little face, and I'm going to hit E for extrude. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this through this weapon post right here. Now, if I click Objects to Cut, it's only cutting the chassis. It can't cut the bearing because the bearing is a separate document, so it can't cut it because it's not technically part of it. So I'm going to hit OK, and now I have this perfect gap, and you'll see that the size is pretty good, all right, on both sides. All right, for the shaft to slide through. Last step. Now we have to make the 3 holes for the screws to kind of go into and hold it to the weapon post. So this part's very simple. So you're going to create sketch. You're going to click on this face right here. All right, and I'm going to highlight all 3 of these circles. Remember, you're not clicking on the edge. You're not clicking on the center. You're clicking on the space in between. I'm going to click once, hold down Control, and do it for the other 3. Empty space, and I'm going to hit E for extrude. And I'm going to bring it through here, and I could just click on this inside face and it should make holes. If you feel a little insecure about that, you could drag it just a tiny bit past, and you always want to double check that you're only cutting the chassis. And I'm gonna hit OK, and now I have a pocket for my bearing. But all right, you see that? Perfect, you guys did it. So now let's install a bearing. So we're gonna be in RoboParts still, and it's actually called a weapon motor bearing. So you're gonna go all the way down to weapon motor bearing, right click on it, insert into current design. Oh, it's way down here, I can't see it, but that's okay. I'm just gonna drag it up so I can see it. We'll rotate it 90 degrees to make it stand up. All right, and I'm gonna change the move type from free move to point to point. I'm gonna click on the back side of the bearing. I'm gonna hover over this face right here, hold down Control, click the crosshair. We'll go back to the outside wall of the weapon post. Now I don't want to put it here. I want to put it on this face right here, the inside of my pocket that I just created. So you see how there's a crosshair and a square in the center of that, right? So what I'm gonna do for that is I'm just gonna hit right. So I'm looking at it straight on. You might have to hit left. Hover over this face right here. Hold down Control. Now I don't want to click on a square. I want to click on the crosshair. All right. And you can see that it's perfectly centered. And I'm gonna hit OK. So now I have a bearing in there. Now if I bring back my weapon motor, let me close the data panel. If I bring back my weapon motor, click on the eyeball, you'll see that the shaft is right through the bearing, which is exactly what we want. It's going to be supported. And then we got the bearing cover to screw onto that to stop it from popping out during the fight. And now your weapon is going to be super supported and will survive, and we'll have some good fights. All right, and let me double check. I think that is it in regards to that. So again, this is one of the final steps before we print. Got our hole tops, got our power switch holes, got our power switch installed, made the gap for your wheels to spin, have a little top for your bot. All right, I'm gonna hit save as I always do, and